Yeah, we do.
Or any residents that want to.
That's fine.
No, I don't think we should have the residents, I think it's
No, I think everybody.
the, go on the charge there.
Okay, everybody's going to speak.
I don't say no.
Sure, you're not gonna let people ask
You're going to let
questions.
people speak, it's a
Let
meeting.
the candidates speak.
And you're not gonna let the residents or any of us council ask the candidates questions.
Anything you want.
Okay.
No problem.
I would suggest, since you have a full house, that you do have a discussion on, I would say you open a meeting, to your roll call, run through your, then, all the two were submitted to request.
Yeah, three. Oh, yeah. Three, yeah. Two. I thought it was one.
Mr. John.
Wyoming Memorial Council meeting, special name will come to order. Will you please stand and face the flag of our country and recite the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call goes in.
Mr. Brunel Waco.
Present.
Mr. Frank Burek.
Here.
Mr. Michael Beloga.
President.
Mrs. Diane Smile. Here. Mr. Joseph Schultz.
Here.
Attorney Lars Anderson. And Mayor Joseph Dominic.
Present.
Thank you.
We have two candidates ready to put their applications in. If we'd like to have them speak now, Mr. Brazel, please.
Mr. Lipke put his name up first, Jim, so he
Well, whatever, okay. Doesn't matter.
All right, I didn't really know I was going to have to be called up to speak to say anything to council or to everyone present here. But do you want me to read the letter, Chet?
If you want to, yes. Appreciate that.
First of all, I feel kind of overdressed, only because I've got to run someplace right after here. This is just a letter I submitted, just a little bit about myself. I have addressed the Wyoming Borough Council. I'm a lifelong resident of Wyoming Borough, married and live with my wife Mildred, and have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. I attended Wyoming Elementary School and graduated from Wyoming High School, and went on to get my associate degree in business administration from Lackawanna College. I later entered into the food industry and eventually retired from Kraft Foods from the position of sales representative for Northeastern Pennsylvania. I was Wyoming Borough zoning officer for 2 years and enjoyed being part of those who helped continue to help Wyoming be the borough it is today. It is with these thoughts in mind that I ask to serve Wyoming Borough by serving on Wyoming Borough Council and work and cooperate with those who now serve and strive to keep Wyoming Borough the jewel that it is. Sincerely, John Lipsky. If there's any questions or anything anyone wants to ask me, I don't know, I wasn't expecting it.
If I could, just, first, Roseanne, can you just confirm that he submitted in time for the advertisement and that he is from Ward 1?
Yes.
Ken, I have a question. The applicant for this, for the last council meeting was to be a Democrat. Are you a registered Democrat?
I was not registered a Democrat until just recently. I was a lifelong Republican. I was notified of the position being available by Chebnell Wyco, and I thought I would really like to serve Wyoming Borough, and if it was, if one of the things would have to be that I would become a Democrat. I thought, yes, I would like to, because I feel Democrat or Republican is just a name. How you vote or what you do is what really counts. And having said that, I went and changed my registration from Republican to Democrat. So yes, I am a registered Democrat.
Did you make that change prior to submitting your application?
Yes, I have. In fact, I have a copy of the thing. I just don't have the card yet because the borough has not sent it to me.
So you went to the borough, to the county, prior to submitting your application? Or was it afterwards? After the applicant, after the 2 p.m. deadline?
The thing I turned in was the same day.
No, my question is, at the time of your application, were you a registered Democrat or a registered Republican at the time when you dropped that application off?
At that time, no. It was within an hour that I was later on. I don't know, is that an issue? I don't know.
I had multiple people ask to put in, I had multiple calls, and I told people that at the meeting, Frank and Chev said the applicant had to be a Democrat. So I had multiple Republicans say, that they weren't gonna put in. And at the time of the application, I would assume that at the time of the application, the party that you're affiliated with would stand. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
So the advertisement that went out didn't require party affiliation. Councilman Beloga and I both looked at the borough code, and there is no requirement that the seat that is going to be filled be of the party of the person who left.
No, I agree with that, but it's common practice when Councilman Schultz came in. Councilman Schultz, you could speak to this, you switched parties prior to applying. Frank, Chev, you both said at the last meeting that you needed to be a Democrat to go to the seat.
You follow the same.
Yeah, so we're following common practice.
Republican.
But my question is, at the time, the applicant had to be in for the deadline at 2 p.m. for a Democrat to apply. Nothing against you, John, I think it could be the best thing since sliced bread, but what I'm saying is,
It becomes a conflict of interest.
I think that, at the time of an application, you would be a registered Republican applying when it was to be a registered Democrat. So I just wanted to raise that concern. I'm just trying to be as transparent as we can because that's the issues we have with this borough right now.
That's fine.
So that's why I wanted to, bring that to the attention. I actually called down the county today, and they still didn't process your application yet. It'll be processed later today or Wednesday because of the holiday.
Yeah,
But they
that's
sent me a letter saying that you turned in your application at 2:30 down there.
That's what I was told, yes.
Yes.
Yes. That could very well be, that sounds like about the right time frame. 2 and 2:30, yes, it does sound about
Yeah,
right.
so I have it if you guys want it.
I was really when he did it, but
Does anyone want to see this?
I have a question, a couple questions. Mr. Lipsky?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been following borough politics the last year or two. What is your take on the situation that we're in, like, for example, state police raid?
I can do, go ahead.
There's been state police raids, there's been mismanagement of money. We have Jim Rose here from the state that is looking at the funding, and he has really found some problems with the way the management of the borough has been the last, how many years? What's your opinion on that?
Quite honestly, like I said, I've been a lifelong resident of Wyoming, and it's no baloney. I think Wyoming is positively the nicest community on the west side. Having said that, that is one of the reasons that I would really like to help in the borough. Because if these accusations or whatever is happen to be true, I think those that have done something wrong should be penalized or whatever. So my opinion on that, and that is one of the reasons I would like to be here, to be very honest with you. So much so that I changed my registration after, I'm a little bit older than most people here. I've been registered a Republican for over 50-some years. And again, like I say, I feel that is nothing but a name, Republican or Democrat. I feel you should have to vote and do what you feel is right.
Well, the state and the U.S., the United States Congress, when a position has to be filled, they fill it with the Democrat, Republican. The county is the same way. In the borough code, it doesn't say it, but it's implied that that's the case. That's my issue. It's implied that you would be the same party. That's my issue. Also that.
So what you're talking about is that half-hour difference, is that what you're referring to?
Well, yeah, for sure I am, because it seems like it's.
Is it now?
It seemed like it was coerced. That's the only reason why I say that. It looks like it was like, wait a minute, you want the job, and then a half hour after you apply, you go change your party affiliation.
No, as a matter of fact, when I was asked about it, and you can ask Mr. Nowicko, I did not get a response for immediately. I was not asked that day. I was asked
He took you
before.
down there?
I asked him if he could take me down. Because I came up to the program. That is funny to you? That is funny?
I don't think he's supposed to do that.
Why is that, sir?
You're not being coerced
When you say coerced, you know what coerced means, being forced to do something. I
No,
was
you're
called
not
and
being
asked
forced.
when we-
Hold on one second, please.
I was
Forced and
asked,
coerced are two
Guys,
different words.
guys, going forward, the council will ask the questions, you can respond to the council. Later, sir, if you've signed up, you can speak.
Excuse me.
I understand.
He addressed me.
I understand.
You've done that to me
I
before.
understand, I'm clarifying that from now on, there's not gonna be back and forth. You can discuss the matter with the council.
okay,
Council will ask you questions, you can answer them. Residents, if you wanna let your opinion be known to the council after, the candidates come up, that's up to the council to decide if they wanna hear that, okay? But there's not gonna be a back and forth, please don't yell, please don't heckle.
okay.
Let it go, until it's time for you to speak. Thank you.
All right, the biggest issue I had was the use of the word coerced. Mr. Delaware had called me and asked me if I was interested in it. And I talked to him, and this was a good week before. And I says, Chef, I don't know. I says, first of all, I'm a registered Republican. He said, you could change if you wanted to. I said, I don't know what I want to do. And quite honestly, at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I talked it over with my wife, etc., and she said, do what you want to do. And the only reason I said, and I will repeat it again, I don't feel that Republican or Democrat is a mindset. I feel it's a registration. I could have just as easily registered independent, and maybe it wouldn't have been an issue. Maybe I could have been appointed a lot easier if that was the case. However, I didn't know for sure that you had to be a registered Democrat in order to take the position if you were filling that position. I didn't know that was a law, and I don't know that it is the law.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr., and I'm very sorry if I butchered your last name, Lipsky? Okay.
Okay?
Chairman, I have one question.
Yes.
Have you ever been convicted of any violation besides a driver's violation?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's it, Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Brunel?
Well, I don't have a letter to read, but I just gave a one-sentence letter when I dropped the letter of intent on. Several people approached me why I would want to get in this position to run for council because of the shape that it's in. That was evident when I put my application, my letter in 2 weeks ago because nobody broke the door down to get in here to put their applications in, except Mr. Lipsky the day of the last. I've been a Democrat, I'm registered Democrat. I changed back in September, but I did not know that Councilman Flynn was going to resign, so that wasn't my prerogative, anything to do with it. I really didn't know who was going to resign. My thing is, I'm going to try, I'll give you a little history of me. I've been in the mechanic field for quite a few years. I've been in the construction field, a union welder, and a property manager. I'm in charge of property manager in several buildings, grounds, which add up to several $1 million. I do the ordering, the purchasing, I oversee the work, do most of the work myself, because I know what something should cost, what people do cost. Everybody should make a living, but there's a difference between making a living and ripping people out. Even businesses, it happens in school districts, businesses, all over, boroughs, towns, because it's not what you know, they hire or vote in who you know. So I'm going to try what I would know to get in here. I would like to use my, I don't claim to know everything, but I'm going to try to use what I have in expertise, my field, with as far as mechanical, construction. As far as construction, one of my biggest ones I ran for several years was the flood control from Wyoming down to Wilkes-Barre. With the Army Corps of Engineers, FRUCON, I know what things, how you can dig a hole, how much it should be done. I believe if there's jobs to be bid out, they should be bid. Every bid should be read. If you don't understand the bids, you hire somebody or get somebody to read the bids. This borough's gone way out of hand in the last several elections. That's why we're at. I attended every meeting since Mayor Dominic got in office. I didn't attend many meetings in the prior mayor's meetings because it was like wasting your breath. Everything was cut and dry. I would like to work with both council, mayor, everybody else, and try to get the borough. Mr. Lipsky said it used to be a beautiful place to live. Look at our streets and everything else, how this has gone downhill. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have a question.
Roseanne, can you just confirm that he submitted within the time frame and that he's from Ward 1?
Yes.
Yes, of course, I've been in the first ward over 50 years in Wyoming.
I just have a question, same question that I had for Mr. Lipsky is with the condition of the borough as far as there's been state police raids, the management of the borough's finances. And Jim Rose might speak a little bit in a little while, but what's your take? What's your opinion on the situation? What has to be done?
Well, one of Laura's favorite saying is, going forward, you have to get this borough out of the debt that it's in. The people that are responsible for putting it in there and knew this blatantly should be punished. Whether it's arrest, barred from running public office ever again, something like that, because they're responsible for this condition, not these people. Anybody else?
I have one question, the same one I asked Mr. Lipsky. Have you ever been convicted of a law violation except for a driver's license?
No.
That's your...
That's it. No.
That's- Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just to confirm, like I asked, you're Democrats in September, you said?
Right. I wouldn't even get in this office, but I was told at that meeting, which I looked at it 10 times on YouTube, that was told it had to be a Democrat. Otherwise, my son ran against Councilman Flynn at a write-in and had, what, 80 votes, 80-some votes. Otherwise, he would have put a letter in. He didn't put a letter into the borough here because he was told, we were told it had to be a Democrat.
Okay.
So we looked into that legalities-wise. Actually, he has legal ways to be put in that seat. They do it every other town. Thank you. In fact, he's here.
So, I would suggest either you're going to have public comment now, just the issue of appointing someone,
Yeah.
or,
Ma'am, will you please sit down?
I have to
Oh,
leave.
I'm sorry, you're going to the bathroom over
I
here?
know I have to leave.
All right, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody in the audience want any comments on these two candidates here? Go right ahead, miss. Please, at the podium, state your name and... Yes, I know that.
Pat Scalante. I don't know much about the first gentleman, but the second gentleman, please consider letting him take the empty chair, because I do think he would be good for our town and for council. He has a lot of positive attitude, a lot of ways of helping us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Deloach. Anyone else? Okay, we need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to appoint Bob Warzel to the council.
a motion on the floor to appoint Bob Brazel as councilman. Do I hear a second?
You don't need a second. You don't need a second for,
We need a second.
you don't need a second.
Need a second?
No, the
It's a
protocol
vote
says you don't
coming
need a
up.
second. So you can second.
I see we need a second.
Councilman Bloga, why do you believe you don't need a
I
second?
think it's right in the borough code.
For,
When you appoint somebody, they don't need a second, you just do it on a roll vote. But anybody can second it if they want.
I'll second.
I guess it's immaterial now.
Okay.
So, I
Yeah,
would
we got a
suggest
second
roll
now.
call.
Mr. Delaweko?
No.
Mr. Yurick?
No.
Mr. Beloga?
Yes.
Mrs. Smiles?
No.
Mr. Scully?
Oh.
Yes.
Rejected.
Second motion. Make a motion for Mr. Lipsky. Appoint Mr. Lipsky.
Roll call.
Mr. Nolasco?
Yes.
Mr. Yurick?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
No.
Mrs. Smiley? Yes. Mr. Schultz? No.
Motion passed. Mr. Lipsky, you please come to administer the vote for Mr. Lipsky, please.
Mr. Lipsky, if you can come forward.
Very well, sir, thank you.
Ready? Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Lipsky,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Constitution of the Pennsylvania,
and that I will discharge my duties
and that I will discharge my duties
as a Wyoming Borough Councilman
as a Wyoming Borough Councilman
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carney.
Well, then, that's the, you can sign it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Mr.
Your first vote.
Mr. Schultz.
Could you get, does he have an agenda?
Yes, there.
Why don't you read through what's on the agenda?
No, we don't got one.
Do we want to do the other people that are speaking?
Well, that's what we're just discussing. I think I can go through this first.
Because it's about the budget, right?
Right. Budget and the, and, Joe, you like to?
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. A motion was made to pass the 2019 revised budget. A motion was made to set the real estate tax at 3.7905 mils for the 2009 fiscal year. A motion will be made to approve the TAN loan term sheet that was presented at the December 18, 2019 meeting. That's in my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
just want to
Schultz.
make a comment on that.
Yes,
The 3.79 mils is doubling the town's taxes. It's actually doubling your taxes, just letting you know.
Thank you.
Okay, motion, resolution to be voted on, motion.
No, hold on, we have to bring the speak.
Yeah, you.
Oh, I thought we go through this first.
No, why would you do that?
Okay, we'll go to that. Tina Sabatini, please.
Is there a Tina?
Yeah, she's coming right up.
Tina, I'm sorry. I thought you were questioning.
I'm Tina Sabatini, 218 East 7th Street. I'm appalled at you people that you have secret meetings and vote first, and then you come here and you pretend that everything's fine. And you're always the same way. I was born in Wyoming, and I loved Wyoming years ago when the people ran this town, and they ran it honestly. And I also want to know, with you council people, aren't your telephone numbers supposed to be in the book? Some people you can reach it, some you can't. So how are the people supposed to call a councilman if you're not in the telephone book? And we shouldn't have to be penalized and raise taxes for those that stole money and they're withholding the books. And no one
Who's more money?
Jeff, you did.
No, I did.
You took $2,000 out of the sewer fund for the VFW. That sewer fund is for a sewer fund. You wrote the check, that's that. What?
Why'd you arrest me?
Oh, buddy.
Okay. Ma'am, are you?
Tom's go under.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate the borough on reaching a new low. You put police officers on the street in cars that insult and make fun of mentally retarded people over the airwaves.
Can you give us an example?
Bowman.
Tom,
What?
can you give us an example, please?
Yes,
Who?
Paul Bowman. My sister, who was mentally challenged, had an issue with a friend of hers on Christmas Eve. I was told by two different people, I didn't hear it myself, they're both reputable people, that Mr. Bowman got on Officer Schlegel from Exeter, got a call on it also, and he asked the county, who's the caller? He said my sister's name. Mr. Bowman, who was not involved in that call, got on the radio and piped in something, I don't know the exact words, to the effect of, good luck with that, she's a real moron.
Well, it's the first we've heard of it. I'm sorry to hear about
You,
it.
apparently you don't read the complaints that are issued.
No,
I
don't.
filed
Not
a
the police
complaint.
department. There's a man in charge of
Yes,
the
sir.
department.
Yes,
I don't want to butcher the Skilligan.
Salon.
Skilon.
I'm sorry. So, the mayor receives the complaints as the head of the police department.
Yes.
He would deal with it, and then once he makes a recommendation as to what to do, it would be brought to the rest of the council to have a vote if necessary, going forward. So the matter that you're referring to hasn't risen to the level where the rest of the council will be made aware yet.
So, for the record, we did speak, I did inform you, I did reach out to get copies of the tapes.
Yes.
Has
Has anybody spoken to Mr. Bowman?
our officer.
That's a personnel matter and will be dealt with in the course of what the.
Well, don't think I have the right to know since it was my sister and I do a power of attorney for her.
Understand you've submitted a complaint. It's going through the process that the borough has for that procedure. And when it gets to a conclusion, there would be some sort of notification as to where it goes. But you're raising the issue that's being dealt with in the preliminary matter. That it went to the mayor to be dealt with, and then it's going through the appropriate channels.
It will be
I
dealt
understand
with, I
that, but
promise you that, and it
I
is.
just thought the rest of the council and the residents would like to know what kind of people we have protecting us.
Understand, I'm trying to put you,
I understand that.
so you understand why some of the members may not have heard of this yet.
Okay, I understand that, but, I did feel that the people should know what kind of people,
We are working on it,
driving,
and I did-
driving around those cars down there. I mean, I know there's other police officers here. I've known them for many years. I've never heard them say any kind of remarks like that about anyone,
I know. And
especially over the air.
yes, it's totally unprofessional, irresponsible, should not have been done. I did speak with the district attorney today, he got back to me. Obviously with the holiday, I did put a call
Yes, I
in and
understand that.
discuss. She advised me to speak with the solicitor on the next steps to obtain some stuff, so we're doing that. We discussed that today.
All right, so there will
It's
be
moving forward,
action
it's
taken.
not, it's just, she was off, she got back to me
Yeah, I
today.
understand.
So, it will be addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Connie Walsh,
She left.
she left. Mark Patochi,
President, Council, Mayor, my name is Mark Bertocci, 289 Monument Avenue, Wyoming, and I wanted to have considered for the budget for next year, potential cost savings that may have not been considered, is the street lighting. If you notice, other towns in the area, Exeter, West Pittston, Kingston, I think 44, converted from the sodium vapor lights to the LED induction lighting. I don't know much about them, but I'm sure there's an incentive for them to be converting. So if I just make that recommendation for next year, hopefully that'll have a positive impact.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you, Mr. Roach. Mr. Rose, would you like to come up here, please, and address council?
Well, there's two more names, Mr.
No, they ain't both spoke, but you and goes out.
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Rose. I thought you wanted to speak on it.
The only thing I wanted to say was that we put together, Roseanne has spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end putting together a budget, and that's the closest budget that we could get to a realistic budget, because a lot of the numbers that we would normally have to put something together from last year, previous year, just aren't around, aren't available. But the budget that you have in front of you is a balanced budget. And I think it's as close as we can get this year to having a budget that will be as accurate as possible. I hope you'd have the chance to look through it and make changes if you needed to. If you have any questions about what we did as we were working with it, please feel free. Mike.
I have a question. Why the $360,000 TAN? Why do we need that $360,000 TAN?
For the first 3 months of the year, you don't have anything coming in. And right now, I'm assuming that you're probably pretty close to zero in your bank account. You spend about $300,000 per month just to exist. So the TAN is designed to cover that. In addition, the TAN, I would assume, will be used to cover some of the debt that's outstanding. There's about $350,000.
Why the big debt? Why do we have a big debt?
That I can't answer. We don't have, as I said, we do not have very good records.
We were told that this was solid back in June. It was solid. We have a surplus. All the council.
Can't answer that.
All the council people say, yeah, we're in great shape. We're not.
In
We
my-
learned for a year that this was happening, and everybody turned a deaf ear.
Well, I think going forward, though, you're going to have, if you enact this budget, and if you do vote to accept the TAN, I think that you'll be able to move forward. We also have some assistance for Roseanne in trying to get everything so that this year, you'll know exactly where you stand every month, so that you'll know exactly what your income versus your spending is. And that's been the goal, and you're close to getting there now.
Jim, in line with what you were just saying, you and I discussed at the last meeting too, we touched on it briefly. And it seems to be what's getting the residents here, everyone's upset obviously that we're in the hole $350,000 when in June we were told we had a $40,000 surplus. We had discussed the forensic audit as being part of the EIP. I would hope council as a whole, but I know, Mr. Lipsky that just got on and spoke to it, and I know two of the other members said that they would hold people accountable. So if that's the case, could we make the second step of the EIP, the forensic audit, so that way we could find out where the money went?
When the Pennsylvania Economy League starts to work with all of you, they're going to be asking you not only to talk about where the borough's been, where you want to see the borough go, but they're also going to talk about what are some things that the borough needs. And at that point in time, I would say that if that's something that you folks really feel strongly about, that you can recommend that to the Economy League to put that in their report. So their first stage will have a report that will have a whole bunch of recommendations. And if that's one of the recommendations, then that's something that the state will fund at the same split that we're funding the first.
So if that's the case, I would ask council today for someone to take a motion that step 2 of the EIP would be to prove a forensic audit so we can keep moving forward.
You're kind of putting the cart before the horse.
I'm guessing that they're going to suggest that per what we talked about.
But you're going to have to wait until they actually come in and start working with the borough.
Okay.
And then you can talk to them about that, and if that's something that the council wishes to do, council certainly has every right, or you can just talk to the Economy League unofficially, if you will, and let them know what you're looking for. Okay? But yeah, that's not something that we don't or do not do.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
You're welcome. Any other?
I need to you, I have a question to Mayor Donald.
So I could go?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, lady.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Mr. Dominic, what's the police budget?
This year, $291.
$291,000. Okay. I went back to 2007. 2007 I went back. Every year was $390,000. 2008 it was $427,000. $417,000, $408,000. It goes all the way up $415,000, $431,000. So that was the police budget under Mayor Boyer. He has a police budget of $291,000. Yet Mr. Nelawico keeps saying that we're spending too much money on the police force. Could you answer that, Mr. Noah? Of course not.
Right now, I'm not. Why do we have to have two?
Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said?
I don't care what you say.
Didn't you hear what I said? For years, you've been saying yes to Mr. Boyer's budget. 400,000, 415,000. His is 291,000, and you're blaming the police force? You ought to be ashamed of yourself and resign right now.
Mr. Bullock, every dog has his day.
Of course they
Okay. Resolution posted and voted on.
Mr. Chairman,
We still have people.
I gotta ask, Lars, did you find anything out from West Wyoming?
So, I spoke with the West Wyoming solicitor, because the borough, Wyoming Borough doesn't have a signed copy. To see if they could send me a signed copy. She informed me that it was very informal, she didn't know if she had a signed copy, but she would look to see if she could get me one. But I looked over what we do have, and we can cancel it within 90 days. But if we give them notice, cancellation, we could also, if there's issues here with just the price, if that's the concern, instead of canceling, we can see if we can negotiate a higher price with them, knowing where we're at. My conversation was very general in the sense of, hey, all I have is an unsigned copy, you have a signed copy. The Wyoming Borough's financial condition is not very good, and we need to reconsider this, we're losing money on it. She said that they were unaware that the borough was losing money on it. So maybe that could just be her, where she's at in that information flow. So the part where we're at right now, Joe, to answer your question is, one, we don't have the signed copy, we're waiting to see if Wyoming Borough, or West Wyoming has one. And two, if this is the contract, we can cancel within 90 days by giving notice and terminating. Knowing that you're in the snow season, knowing that it is a neighboring municipality, these are all things you should consider. But my suggestion would be that we look to make sure that we're not losing money and see if we can't just renegotiate for the higher price for the borough so that we break even or cover all of our costs fully.
What I'm thinking is that, does this have to go as a motion, or can you send a letter? What I'm thinking is we need to be around $45 per hour, plus responsible for their they got to be responsible for the overtime. And if they don't adhere to that, then my recommendation is to cancel them within the 90 days.
Well, I think you would need a motion by council to cancel. I don't necessarily need a motion for me to go out and see if we can get the price we need to make it work. Because we have a contract in place, but if you guys want me to work with Roseanne to get the actual figure, I know we keep saying 45. I'm assuming that's probably a rough estimate. Get the actual and then the language and overtime.
Yeah.
I can do that letter to say that if the borough is in this position, we need to reevaluate. This is what we need the new figure to be, plus the cost of overtime if we want to continue.
I would do that first, and then we'll go from there. Please.
So the way I would word it then, it would be a motion from council to give you the authority to work with Wyoming Borough, or West Wyoming, to increase the contract price and change terms to be finalized by council at a later date, should they.
But that increase would be effective immediately.
Well, that's all negotiation, right? So everything would be a negotiation for you guys to vote on later. All you would
I mean, we're in this, if we have an out clause, and if they don't agree to that effective price day one, I mean, we should just terminate the out and give them the 90-day notice at that point, if we're losing money.
We can do that. You could terminate the 90, you could exercise the 90-day, and then we could, work, see if there's a way to work with them to.
I would do that, execute the 90-day, that way we help them get through the winter, and then if they want to renegotiate, sign them at 45, 50, 55, whatever it needs to be to make it make sense for the borough to make money. I mean, our 3 guys could be better served here, instead of racking up a $60,000 snow bill when you guys had that snowstorm, because they're over in West Wyoming instead of here.
What does Jimmy want to do?
So
Jimmy wants to be in Wyoming.
Jimmy doesn't even want to be over there.
They could be better served in Wyoming. They could get more done in Wyoming.
Then why are we even having that conversation? We should just not do it at all. Just tell them to get their own workers.
Yeah,
We
keep
took-
them in
we
Wyoming.
Take care of Wyoming, not West Wyoming first. That's why we're in debt right now.
So,
Then make a motion, give them 90 days notice. It's up to you guys, if you want to give them 90-day notice, we suspend them,
what I would, if you're going down the route of termination, I would suggest that you do a motion to authorize me to take the legal steps to terminate the contract. We don't have to put the rest of that in, but just that I'm authorized to go forward with the termination of the contract. You know, your next meeting is January 15th. You know, you can give me until then to see if they want to come up and change, or you can start the process now. It's up to you guys.
what do you want to do?
Make the motion. 90 days.
Well, it'd just be
Initiate.
a motion to authorize me to take legal steps to terminate the contract. Did you get that, Roseanne? To authorize the solicitor to take the legal steps to terminate the agreement between West Wyoming Borough and Wyoming Borough. For Department of Public Works Services.
Motion on the floor to terminate the West Wyoming contract by Mr. Larson. I need a second
We're
on
not
it.
even voting on contracts yet, the people are still talking. We're still talking, there's still people talking.
Who?
Mr. Borzel's sitting there.
I just want to, I have places to go, but I wanted to thank council, Jeff, for at least accepting my letter for running, okay? I mean, I'm sort of disappointed, not surprised, and it's sort of sad that a rumor was floating quite a while before the meeting even started, and I knew the outcome. So that wasn't my top priority to take, because I didn't know, I had no idea Councilman Flynn was going to resign. My top priority is, Frank, to get your seat in May. I'll see you then.
So, did that answer your question, Councilman Stoltz?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess if you do that, I would suggest you put it on the back end of the agenda, or, you have three motions here. Add that, so, but I think you need to, at this point, decide the budget issues. And Councilman Below, you asked earlier why we needed the TAN loan. In order for the borough to make payroll, it's.
I know that, he explained that.
Okay.
I just wanted to hear it from the council.
Okay, we have a resolution, motion to be voted on, motion to accept and pass the 2019 revised budget.
Just so that you guys are clear, the revised budget has the 2 mil tax increase to it. So passing, I understand that, but if.
Taxes are going from 1.79 to 3.79.
Is the decrease in the sewer fee included in that budget?
Well, it's separate, but it's.
Yeah, okay, but it's in there.
So if I could, you guys mind if I answer this question? So that was decreased at the last month's meeting, and we've already talked to Wyoming Valley Sanitation Authority so that they're aware the next sewer bill that goes out will be the bill at, I believe you guys authorized $50, is that correct?
25.
25. So the next bill that will go out from the sanitation authority for the sewer fee will be $50 instead of $200. And next, at the January 15th meeting, council needs to decide how they want to do that. You've been doing quarterly bills for the 200, so it's $50 each quarter. So, you know, the sanitation authority recommends we actually do it just once now, that it's only $50, but we don't have to decide that one, just for you guys to be aware.
Okay, we got a motion made by this class to make a motion. Do I have a second? Need a second? No second, it's not approved.
Is anyone gonna, okay.
Yes.
So with, just so we're clear though, that without a balanced budget, a mill increase, and the TAN, without a balanced budget and the mill increase, the borough government is going to effectively shut down. You will no longer have the legal authority to accept taxes or pay bills. Pay the employees.
Do I hear a second?
All right, well, before you do anything, so is there an alternate plan for you guys then if no one's going to pass the 2019 budget?
Looking for population, I think she is in Wyoming here.
I'll second that. Mike can second it. Okay, Chairman. Second. I'll second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
No. No.
Vote call.
Mr. Maleko?
Yes.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
No.
Mr. Schultz?
Nope.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes. Mr. Lipscomb?
Before I would do anything, I'll tell you what, I'm at an extreme disadvantage here, because I don't know exactly all of the ramifications or whatever is here. At this time, I don't know if I can, but can I or can I not abstain?
You can abstain.
That's what I would like to do at this point, and I just don't know enough about it, know one way or the other, I'm sorry.
3-2, motion passed. Motion made to set the real estate taxes to 3.7905 bills for the year 2019. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a motion? I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mr. Maleko?
Yes.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
No.
Mr. Schultz?
Nope.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes.
I believe you know my answer.
Then we have to
I would like to abstain, I'm sorry.
abstain, okay. 3-2.
2, motion passed. Motion to accept the 10 term sheet from M&T Government Bank. Go ahead. Your motion. Mrs. Smiles?
I'll second.
Mr. Urick? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Maleko?
Yes.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
No.
Mr. Schultz?
No.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes.
Abstain.
And Mr. Lipscomb?
Motion passed. Motion to adjourn?
You still have one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Stoltz's motion.
Mr. Anderson, to take legal steps to, with the West Wyoming Board to terminate the contract or to provide.
Roseanne, could you read the motion out?
Motion to authorize the solicitor to take legal steps to terminate DPW services from West Wyoming and Wyoming.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Nays? Aye.
It sounds good, but I still have to abstain, honestly, I'm sorry. At this point, in time, I'll be more affirmative.
What do you need back there, pal?
Mr.
I just want to ask a question when you guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
You need to conduct a roll call vote on the last.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Maleko?
Yes.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mr. Beloga?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes. Mr.
I
Lipscomb?
abstain.
Motion passed.
So, if I could, before you close, you asked the question about do we need to have a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement. You guys did that already back at the December meeting. So you don't have to read it. You don't have to read it. You don't have to read it. You've already approved it, and the police have just approved, so your contract goes into it. So you're good. So with that, you've conducted all your business, it's up to you.
Go ahead, sir.
I just have a question that if, like when, you just raised the taxes, you just pretty much doubled them. If after all of this nonsense, lawsuits, whatever, when they're all resolved and anybody has to pay restitution, are we gonna get a break on our taxes when all is said and done?
don't see how we're gonna do it, the money we're spending here in the world.
Pardon me?
I said, I don't think we're gonna reduce the taxes. I think we're gonna reduce the taxes a certain way by our village, the sanitation.
I'm not saying that, I'm saying if after everything is all said and done, and if anybody's indicted or whatever, and they end up paying restitution, if any of that's gonna be put back in, and we're gonna end up getting a break later on.
Can I paraphrase for you, sir? Do you mind if I paraphrase for you?
Sure.
He's asking that if there was wrongdoing found in the borough through the forensic audit, and someone is forced to pay the borough money back for their wrongdoing, when that occurs, there'd be a reduction in taxes.
Whatever wrongdoing there was, we don't know anything about it right now.
I'm just asking that question.
Oh, come on.
It's a simple yes or no answer. If money ends up going back to the town from wrongdoing from the past, and if anybody ends up paying restitution or whatever, are we gonna get the taxes that we just up?
So that's go right to the tax fund, sir, that's all I can tell you. Money, if there's any restitution coming back from it.
That's your answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Yeah, one more question.
Can I just clarify my previous suggestion? I said before, thanks. I meant to clarify that the street lighting be converted not just on the avenue or H Street, which is the sodium style lighting, because they're state roads, but also all roads in town.
Okay.
That's what I want to clarify, all roads in town.
Many municipalities have gotten grants for that.
What's really great?
There was no motion. There was only a motion. He made a motion to appoint.
I thought Mrs. Miles and Mr.
I
Rick.
don't-
Who made the motion to appoint Mr. Lewis?
We just
Think
first
Frank
did.
motion.
Frank, yeah.
Okay, I
Frank
just
did.
wanted to verify that because I only had it for the other one and then it went the other way, so.
Frank made the motion, and Mrs. Miles seconded.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Mr. Stoll, second?
Second.
Mrs. Miles, thank you. Healthy New Year to all your people out there.